Tombstone may have redefined the modern Western, but behind Kurt Russell's commanding performance was a cast marked by heartbreak, silence, and tragedy. Fame did not save them. In fact, it pushed many toward endings darker than the film's gunsmoke-soaked showdown at the OK Corral. The movie celebrated brotherhood, honor, and courage, but the real lives of the men who carried those legends were shadowed by illness, loss, and the quiet cruelty of time. Nearly 33 years later, the stories behind Tombstone remain so haunting that once you hear them, you'll never watch this classic the same way again. Some fought private wars long after the cameras stopped rolling. Others watched their bodies betray them just as their careers reached new heights. A few became cautionary tales of how the industry that celebrates you in your prime can vanish when you need it most. This is not the myth of the Old West. It's the human cost behind one of Hollywood's most beloved Westerns. And the truth is far more devastating than any duel ever filmed. Kurt Vogel Russell was born on March 17, 1951, in Springfield, Massachusetts. He was 42 years old when he stepped into the role of Wyatt Earp, the hardened lawman whose sense of justice defined Tombstone. By 1993, Russell was already an established star, carrying the weight of the film on his shoulders. Yet beneath the confident performance was immense pressure. Russell quietly took on creative control behind the scenes, often clashing over the film's direction. While Tombstone became a success, the burden left scars. The industry praised the result but rarely acknowledged the cost, leaving Russell to carry the weight of a victory that nearly broke him. Val Edward Kilmer was born on December 31, 1959 in Los Angeles, California. He was 33 years old when he portrayed Doc Holliday, the brilliant but dying gunslinger whose sharp tongue stole the film. At the time, Kilmer was known for his intensity and fearless dedication, but behind the charm was a man pushing himself to dangerous limits. His commitment earned praise, yet it also isolated him. Years later, illness delivered a cruel twist. Throat cancer robbed Kilmer of his voice, silencing the very trait that made him legendary. His decline was heartbreaking, a tragic fate for someone whose words once defined a generation. Samuel Pack Elliott was born on August 9, 1944 in Sacramento, California. He was 49 years old when he played Virgil Earp, the calm and honorable older brother in Tombstone. Known for his iconic voice and stoic presence, Elliott appeared steady and unbreakable. Yet beneath that image was a career marked by long stretches of typecasting and uncertainty. Recognition came slowly, often delayed by Hollywood's narrow expectations. While Elliott avoided public collapse, he carried the quiet frustration of being overlooked. His story is not defined by scandal, but by endurance, a reminder that even respected talent can spend decades fighting to be truly seen. William Paxton was born on May 17, 1955 in Fort Worth, Texas. He was 38 years old when he portrayed Morgan Earp, the warm-hearted younger brother whose optimism softened Tombstone's violence. At the time, Paxton was a dependable supporting actor, still fighting for lasting recognition. Yet beneath his steady rise was constant pressure to remain relevant. Success arrived late and briefly. In 2017, a routine heart surgery turned into a devastating force when complications claimed his life. Paxton died at 61, a tragic fate for someone who survived decades of Hollywood only to be taken at the moment stability finally arrived. Powers Allen Boothe was born on June 1, 1948 in Snyder, Texas. He was 45 years old when he embodied Curly Bill Brocious, the unpredictable outlaw whose menace loomed over every scene. Already an Emmy winner, Boothe carried quiet prestige into Tombstone, but behind the authority was a career shadowed by typecasting. Villains came easily, depth did not. As years passed, film roles faded into television appearances, and illness crept in without attention. Boothe died from pancreatic cancer in 2017 at 68. The industry that celebrated his intensity offered little spotlight at the end. Michael Connell Biehn was born on July 31, 1956 in Anniston, Alabama. He was 37 years old when he portrayed Johnny Ringo, the intelligent and deadly gunslinger in Tombstone. At the time, Biehn stood at the edge of superstardom. Yet beneath the promise were personal struggles that slowly eroded his footing. Alcohol dependence strained relationships and closed doors in an unforgiving industry. As the years passed, leading roles vanished, replaced by financial hardship and obscurity. Biehn survived, but his legacy remains marked by loss, a heartbreaking decline shaped not by lack of talent, but by battles fought off-screen. Dana Wells Delany was born on March 13, 1956 in New York City. She was 37 years old when she portrayed Josephine Marcus, the intelligent and independent woman caught between romance and danger in Tombstone. At the time, Delany was enjoying strong career momentum and public admiration. Yet beneath the success were private struggles with anxiety and the pressure of maintaining relevance in an industry unforgiving to aging actresses. While her career endured, it was marked by near misses and roles that never fully matched her talent. Delany's story reflects a quieter tragedy, the emotional toll of longevity without lasting security or recognition. Jason Bradford Priestley was born on August 28, 1969 in Vancouver, Canada. He was just 24 years old when he played Johnny Biehn, the corrupt sheriff whose ambitions poisoned the town of Tombstone. At the time, Priestley was one of television's biggest stars, carrying sudden fame few could handle. But behind the confidence were reckless years marked by excess and near-fatal choices. A devastating car crash in 2002 nearly ended his life, leaving lasting physical pain. Though he survived, the incident permanently altered his career path. A cruel reminder that early fame often arrives without guidance or mercy. Stephen Lang was born on July 11, 1952 in New York City. He was 41 years old when he brought Ike Clanton to life, portraying a cowardly bully consumed by fear and rage. Despite delivering a memorable performance, Lang spent years trapped on the fringes of Hollywood success. Recognition came painfully late, after decades of rejection and uncertainty. He endured long stretches of obscurity, watching opportunities pass him by. While his later resurgence proved his talent undeniable, the emotional cost was immense. Lang's journey was marked by endurance, a reminder that survival in Hollywood often demands patience bordering on suffering. Michael Rooker was born on April 6, 1955 in Jasper, Alabama. He was 38 years old when he played Sherman McMasters, the rough-edged gunman whose loyalty ultimately led him to ruin in Tombstone. By then, Rooker was known for intense, often violent roles that left a lasting impression but rarely brought stability. Typecasting followed him for years, limiting opportunities and recognition. While his career survived, it was shaped by long periods of obscurity and uncertainty. Rooker carried the weight of being memorable yet overlooked, a quiet struggle in an industry that remembers faces but forgets the people behind them. Billy Bob Thornton was born on August 4, 1955 in Hot Springs, Arkansas. He was 38 years old when he briefly appeared as Johnny Tyler, a small but explosive role in Tombstone. At the time, Thornton was largely unknown, battling poverty and rejection. His life off-screen was marked by addiction, failed marriages, and financial despair. Fame eventually arrived, but it carried scars from years of survival mode. Thornton later admitted success did not erase the damage. His journey reflects a different tragedy, the lasting psychological toll of hardship, proving that even when Hollywood finally opens the door, it never heals what came before. Charlton Heston was born on October 4, 1923, in Wilmette, Illinois. He was 69 years old when he appeared as Henry Hooker, a symbol of Old West authority in Tombstone. Once one of Hollywood's greatest leading men, Heston carried legendary status into the role. Yet behind the dignity was a painful decline. In his later years, Alzheimer's disease slowly erased the memories of a man who built epics. Heston died in 2008 at age 84, a tragic irony for someone whose voice and presence once defined cinema, only to be silenced by a relentless, devastating illness. Robert Charles Dermond Mitchum was born on August 6, 1917 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. He was 76 years old when his unmistakable voice narrated Tombstone, lending the film a sense of fatalism and myth. Once one of Hollywood's most dangerous leading men, Mitchum's life was marked by rebellion, arrests, and addiction. Though he survived scandals that destroyed others, his later years were shadowed by declining health and fading relevance. Lung cancer slowly consumed him, and Mitchum died in 1997 at age 79. The irony was cruel. A man remembered for his voice lost his strength just as that voice delivered his final legend. Thomas Haden Church was born on June 17, 1960 in Woodland, California. He was 33 years old when he played Billy Clanton, the young outlaw whose fate was sealed by violence in Tombstone. At the time, Church was struggling for recognition, drifting through small roles with little security. Early promise was followed by years of obscurity, watching peers surpass him. Though later success arrived, it came after long frustration and self-doubt. Church's journey reflects a slow-burning tragedy, the emotional toll of nearly quitting before being seen, proving that survival in Hollywood often requires enduring years of invisibility. Frank Stallone Jr. was born on July 30, 1950, in New York City. He was 43 years old when he appeared as Ed Bailey in Tombstone. Forever living in the shadow of his famous brother, Stallone's career was marked by comparison and missed opportunities. Despite talent and persistence, Hollywood rarely looked past his last name. Financial struggles and professional disappointment followed him for decades. His tragedy was not collapse, but confinement, being remembered more for who he was related to than who he was. It remains a painful reminder that fame can be inherited, but respect must be earned alone. Jon Tenney was born on December 25, 1961, in Princeton, New Jersey. He was 31 years old when he appeared in Tombstone as one of Sheriff Biehn's deputies, a small role that placed him on the edge of a brutal legend. At the time, Tenney was struggling for footing in Hollywood, moving from role to role without stability. Early promise was followed by years of uncertainty and near invisibility. Though later, television success gave him recognition. His early career was marked by rejection and doubt, a quiet reminder that most actors spend years in the shadows before ever being seen. John Philbin was born on February 23, 1960, in Los Angeles, California. He was 33 years old when he portrayed Tom McClory, one of the doomed cowboys whose fate was sealed at the OK Corral. Once a recognizable face in 1980s cinema, Philbin's momentum faded quickly. Roles became scarce, and Hollywood's attention moved on without explanation. His career slowly dissolved into obscurity, leaving behind the frustration of unfulfilled potential. Philbin's story is marked by disappearance rather than scandal, a heartbreaking example of how easily the industry forgets those it no longer needs. Michael McCarty was born in the United States and appeared in Tombstone as Frank McClory, another figure caught in the film's fatal crossroads. Though the role was brief, it placed him inside one of cinema's most iconic gunfights. Like many minor cast members, McCarty's career never found lasting traction. Opportunities remained limited, and recognition was fleeting. His path reflects one of Hollywood's quiet tragedies, actors who touch greatness for a moment, only to fade without acknowledgement, carrying memories of a single powerful role that the world barely remembers. Nearly 33 years later, Tombstone remains a Western masterpiece, yet the real lives behind it are far more tragic than any gunfight on screen. From silent illnesses to sudden deaths, from forgotten legends to heartbreaking declines, the cast carried burdens no script ever revealed. These were men who brought myth to life, only to be undone by forces far more relentless than any outlaw. Which journey struck you the most? Comment below and share your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe as we continue uncovering the forgotten truth behind Hollywood's greatest legends, stories the cameras never captured but history will never forget.